Hi, I'm Campbell Choate, and I'm here with Anthony Silvani and Will Stephenson, and you're watching Beyond the Sidelines. Timber Creek football loses 44-20 to Euless Trinity for a first-round exit for Timber Creek. What are you guys' opinions?
I mean, I think we all went into the game knowing that the guys are going to play their hearts out because it's the playoffs, but there was no realistic shot of us winning the game. Not to diss anyone on the football team, it's just Trinity is a way better school than we are. We made it in with a losing record, and I just think it's super cool that my senior year we made the playoffs.
Very much. Yeah, it's obviously, it's great getting to the playoffs. It's just building on it next year. I think we'll have more potential to go further on in the playoffs. But again, like you said, Trinity's too good of a team for us to beat. And I mean, all of us expected us to lose, but it was a close game from what I heard, until they just pulled away late.
Yeah, but I just think it's fun that you had your football team make the playoffs your senior year after being not the most stellar through the first 3 years of your high school career. So I think the team got so much better this year. It's astronomical.
Yeah, it's just with the coaching staff. Coach Williams comes in from South Lake, and he just helps develop Jacob Porter and his team. And next year they're gonna have a lot of potential. Even with them losing Caden Best and Isaiah, I just think that next year they could be even better than they were this year.
Yeah.
All right, breaking news. Giannis just signed a super contract for $228.2 million. What do you guys think?
I think, personally, I like the move because he's showing that he's loyal to Milwaukee. But on the flip side, he's just signing it there so that he can, because the clout of having a supermax contract is one of the hardest things to qualify for. There's so many different qualifications on it. The only other player in the NBA right now on a supermax contract is not Giannis Antetokounmpo, is John Wall. And before John Wall got injury plagued, you saw how dominant he was. And now that he's finally healthy again, I think that we're going to see similar form with John Wall. So Giannis and John Wall are the two with the supermax. So I like it.
Yeah, it's a good move for Milwaukee. Obviously, there were talks about him leaving after this year, and then they signed him for 5 more years. It's good for them because he's your face of the franchise. You want to build around him, see what you have. And he's going to want to win a championship in the next 2 years, and I think after that, if he doesn't, he'll get traded. He's going to ask for a trade. But it's a good move for Milwaukee and for Giannis all around.
If they don't make it to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, I think that he's going to request a trade to either Miami or Dallas.
I could see them moving to the Eastern Conference Final this year.
Maybe, hopefully.
For him.
For him. But not for me. I want him to go to Dallas.
Obviously.
All right, and the New England Patriots will not have 10-plus wins for the first time in 18 years. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, it's about time the dynasty, kind of gone down. Everyone was tired of them winning. It's just winning Super Bowls after Super Bowls. Everyone, doesn't really like them. And now that they're, going to finish with under 10 wins, it's different to see Bill Belichick, under 10 wins, considering how good of a coach he is, but their offense just isn't that good. And, I mean, every fan everywhere wanted to see this for years, and now they're finally getting it.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. I've hated the Patriots since the day I was born because the whole Tom Brady thing, and I felt so good the day that Nick Foles out-battled Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. Tom Brady was the heart and soul of that team for the last 20 years, and now he left, and then Cam Newton tried to be what Tom Brady was and just wasn't. So I'm really happy that the Patriots are going to have maybe a losing record this year, hopefully a losing record this year, and that someone else can finally represent the AFC East in the playoffs.
Maybe, yeah. They still have a couple. They have a tough schedule coming up. They have Miami this week, Buffalo the week after that, and then the Jets week 17. And I mean, but the next 2 are obviously their toughest. And if they lose those, they're going to be finishing sub 500. So it's just very difficult to see Bill Belichick in a situation like this.
I love it. I think it's entertaining.
Well, considering that he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's difficult to see him in a losing season because of how many winning seasons he's had over the past 10 years.
Very, very true.
All right, time for some arguments. Who will be the NFL Offensive Player of the Rookie? Nope. Rookie, okay. All right, time for some arguments. Who will be the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I think it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He got drafted by the Chiefs, number 32 overall. He went in there. He became the starting running back after Damian Williams opted out, and he's just been playing out of his mind. Because he's went in there, he just started filling the role like a like a 5-year vet at the running back position, and he's more developed than he should be as a rookie. An honorable mention for the Rookie of the Year, I think, will be Justin Jefferson, though. He's been the most exciting rookie receiver by far in a stacked rookie receiver class. So I think it's going to be either Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson's definitely in the talk there, but I have Justin Herbert taking it. I mean, sixth overall pick, and behind Joe Burrow and Tua, he wasn't really expected to have the kind of season he's having. And then he goes out week 3, his first NFL start. He almost beats the Chiefs. He almost beats the Saints the next week, and then the Bucs the week after that. I mean, he's just showed so much potential to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I just think that because of his numbers he's put up, I think the most touchdowns already by a rookie ever. I just think that he can't overlook Justin Herbert. Again, I think Justin Jefferson finished second in the voting, but I just think Justin Herbert's had too good of a season to overlook that.
I think the reason that Justin Herbert won't win it is because when you're a quarterback, team success has to come into account. That's what in the MVP race. That's why quarterbacks normally win it. Their team's normally a game out or in the Super Bowl, and I think that Justin Herbert hasn't had enough wins. That's not his fault. His coaching staff is god awful.
Yeah, you give him better coaching staff, and he's already got 5, 6, 7 wins.
Yeah, he's already a candidate for Rookie of the Year, like far in front. But I still think it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The AFC West has the talented rookies, and he went in there and is now the starting running back in the most potent offense in the NFL.
Yeah, but I just think that Herbert, considering the teams that he's had to play and the numbers he's put up, it's just you can't look past that. The numbers he puts up week in, week out, minus the Patriots game, you take that away, and he's just the best rookie for me all season.
Minus the numbers that you have to count, and because he's a quarterback, you have to look at the wins, and he's just not getting them. So the stats seem empty.
Yeah, but again, that's all down to Anthony Lynn being a horrible coach. You give him any other head coach in the NFL, and he probably succeeds.
Okay, we'll give him Adam Gase and see how he does.
Minus Adam Gase, and you see how he can succeed.
All right. Should Jalen Hurts stay the starter in the next season?
I think so. I mean, he came in there, Oklahoma quarterback, Oklahoma rookie, taken in the second round over a very controversial pick by the Eagles. I think he should. He came in there. He started against a Saints team that hadn't lost since week 3 and just made him look like put him on skates in the first half, going up 17-0, and then leading them to a victory in the fourth quarter. I think that he should stay the starter. He's the spark the offense needs. He's more mobile than Carson Wentz is right now. His arm talent seems to be there, and he's getting paid way less than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is about to start his big contract that he signed a couple of years ago next season, and I think if you can move that before it becomes officially on your books, that it makes the most sense.
I think Carson Wentz has to be the starter next year. I mean, they know they weren't going to make the playoffs this year, so they decided to throw Jalen Hurts in. And I get it that you moved the offense finally down the field. But Carson Wentz, like you said, that big contract, and if you have that big contract and have him on the bench or trade him away, then obviously you're going to be looking like a team that doesn't know what they're doing. So you have to put Carson Wentz in at the start of next season. Give him that confidence back and naming him the starter. And I think Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman are going to do that next year. And I like what I saw out of Jalen Hurts. I just don't see him being the starter next year. Maybe in the next 2 years, I just see Carson Wentz coming back next year.
I loved what I saw with Jalen Hurts, and that's why I think he should remain the starter. I think that Carson Wentz, they built the offense around Jalen Hurts, and it worked, and I think that the offense is built more for Jalen Hurts than Carson Wentz. There's more get outside the pocket and throw, and less drop back than there is with Carson Wentz. When Carson Wentz is there to sit in the pocket and try to get the ball down the field, even though that's not his strength.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all down to the coaching staff. I mean, Carson Wentz was doing okay when he had Travis Fulgham as his number 1 read. And then Alshon Jeffrey comes back and you put Alshon Jeffrey in for Travis Fulgham, and he struggles. I mean, Travis Fulgham was your wide receiver 1 heading into this week, and then Alshon Jeffrey, like you said, comes back and you take away his snaps. And when Travis Fulgham's your biggest receiver, you can't do that to your number 1 wide receiver.
I just think that Jalen has the higher upside here. At the moment, he has more ability. He's better at the moment, so he'll take the franchise farther than Carson Wentz will at the moment.
We'll see, but I just don't think that someone with that contract should be riding the bench.
I don't think they're going to ride the bench. He's going to ride the bench. I think he's going to get moved and then ride the bench.
We'll see.
All right. Who will represent the East in the NBA Finals?
I think it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. I think that Kevin Durant coming back looking amazing, Kyrie Irving coming back looking like Kyrie, and I think that with the addition of DeAndre Jordan last offseason, at the same time as Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I think that trio, the chemistry they have off the court is going to translate very well onto the court. And then they have the young talent around them in Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen. And then off the bench, and Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie both coming off the bench with Taurean Prince. He's a very nice stretch four off the bench. So I really like this Nets team coming out of the East.
I think you can't look past the Bucks. I mean, obviously now Giannis has signed that supermax. He's going to have to go out and prove something. They got Seth Curry from Dallas in a trade, which obviously kind of helps their three-point shooting.
No, they didn't. The 76ers got Seth Curry.
Wrong team. But I just think that, after Giannis signs that supermax, he has to go out and prove himself now. And he's going to go out and try and do that against a very good Brooklyn Nets team that I think will be in the conference finals too. I just don't see them getting past Milwaukee and Giannis.
I think that the pure scoring of the Nets will be able to get past the Bucks, and I don't think the Bucks are going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, you saw what happened last time. They almost got swept. I think they did get swept by the Heat, or they lost one game, or they won one game, and I think that that's going to translate into them getting absolutely destroyed by the Nets, who had one of the best scoring. They're going to be the best scoring team in the NBA this year, with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And then their bench unit is so talented and so good that it's just going to carry them to the finals.
I don't see anyone beating Milwaukee. I just think, again, because of that supermax, he has to go out and prove that supermax contract now. And so he's going to be that, the face of the franchise, build around him, see what you got.
Yeah, but who do they have around him?
That's a fair point. But
he's not LeBron James. He can't will his team to the finals. He's a defensive player. He's 6'11". He can't bring the ball down the court, and he's not that good of a passer. So that's why I think it's going to be the Nets.
I just think that Giannis is going to try and go out and prove himself. That's why I have Milwaukee in the finals.
Well, he can't do that by himself. So.
What was that freaking noise? Did y'all not hear that?
What?
No, someone squeaked. That was so freaking funny. I thought someone farted, and I was like, no, maybe someone's stomach rumbled.
Was that you?
That was so funny.
Was that you?
No.
Dude, I messed up so badly in that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying not to laugh the whole time. Okay, I'm ready. Okay. Who represent the West in the NBA Finals?
You just can't look past the Lakers. I mean, LeBron James, AD, I just think that they're too good of a team. They get Montrezl Harrell in the offseason. I just think they're too good of a team in the West. No one will be able to touch them. Even off the bench, they have some starters there. They're borderline starters there. And I just think that they're too good of a team. They went out, they strengthened in the offseason. I just think that they're too good of a team to beat in the West.
I think it's going to be the Nuggets. I mean, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, we saw what they can do. They came back from 3-1 twice in the NBA playoffs in the bubble. Now Michael Porter Jr. has another year to develop, and they have some other guys like Paul Millsap and Plumlee off the bench. So I think that Denver's young team is going to make it to the finals. And I think that the Western Conference Finals are going to be very interesting between the Nuggets and the Lakers. I just think the Nuggets are going to edge it out.
Well, I just think that, LeBron's still trying to go out there and prove that he's the greatest of all time because people still don't think he is. And, when you have that edge on everyone else, it's still got AD, that dynamic duo will end up beating every team in the West.
I think that Murray and Jokic is a way better passer than Anthony Davis. And you can put Jokic on Anthony Davis, and you can put Jamal Murray on Dennis Schroeder, and you can put Paul Millsap on LeBron. And maybe even Michael Porter Jr., because Michael Porter Jr. is young, talented, fast. He can make up defense if he gets blown by, but I just think that the young core of the Denver Nuggets is going to be able to run around with the older core of the Lakers.
Yeah, but you see what happened this past playoffs when they met in the Western Conference Final. LeBron and them just overpowered. And I get it. They were up 3-1, and everyone started thinking maybe they're going to do it again. But if LeBron gets out to a 2-0 lead, or 2-1, a 2-0 or a 3-1, then I just don't think that Denver's going to have enough to bring them back.
I 100% disagree. I mean, we saw it last year. The fight on that team is just insane. And now they've had another year to develop. LeBron gotten that much older, so he hasn't probably lost a step. He's lost maybe half a step or a quarter of a step, and I think that that's going to be the contributing factor to why the Nuggets make it into the finals and not the Lakers.
I think we'll see a Lakers-Nuggets Western Conference Final, but I just don't see the Nuggets, beating them. I could see it maybe going to a Game 7. I just don't see them overpowering LeBron and AD in that Lakers team.
The Cleveland Browns or Pittsburgh Steelers win the AFC North?
I think it's going to be the Steelers. I mean, the Browns it'd be a good story if the Browns won it. I mean, Baker Mayfield's been going off. Nick Chubb's been going off. Kareem Hunt's been going off. That entire team has been going off. But they took a second to hit their stride. After they lost Odell Beckham Jr., they got so much better, which is weird to say. But the Steelers are 14-2, and they have a couple of easy. I think that they might beat the Browns, but if they win this week, they have it pretty much locked up. Even if they lose to the Browns have the edge over them in that game. So I think that it's going to be the Steelers because their defense and their offense and their confidence is there. So
I think it'll be the Browns. I mean, I could see where we're coming from with Pittsburgh. They're 11-2 now; they're on a roll, but they've lost their last 2 straight. Cleveland's on a roll; they're finally getting their potential going now. Like you said, Baker's been going off. Even Donovan Peoples-Jones, their second read's been going off. Jarvis Landry's been going off. I just think that team, offensively and defensively, is complete. And you see in Pittsburgh, they struggle offensively. The drops that they have, they don't have a run game. And again, the strength of schedule also comes into it. The next 2 games for each team. Pittsburgh plays Cincinnati this week, but then they have the Colts and the Browns to finish off the season. While the Browns have the Giants this week and the Jets next week, and then the Steelers. So I think strength of schedule and those 2 teams that they have left will determine this, and I think the Browns will pull it out in the end.
I think that Ben Roethlisberger will will himself to a division title, just because he's Ben Roethlisberger, and I think that when he plays the Colts defense, the Colts offense won't be able to get past the defense, and I think that if James Conner can not get injured every time he touches the ball, that the Steelers will develop a run game during that Colts game and pull out the win, and then therefore win the division.
But you look at the 2 run games between the 2 teams. I mean, Pittsburgh has next to none, and Cleveland has the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. And then their receivers, again, like I said, they're going off. They still have a good tight end, David Njoku and Austin Hooper. They're just a more complete team, I think, than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the better defense, I see that, but the offense is just way more advantage to Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think that the defense is going to win them the game. The run defense on Pittsburgh is insane. Cameron Hayward up front with T.J. Watt. And then in the secondary, you have Avery Williamson, who you traded for midseason. In the linebacking core, and then in the secondary, you have Minka Fitzpatrick and Terrell Edmonds. And I think that that's going to help them get the title, along with Ben Roethlisberger, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. He has had some dropping issues, but they've been working on it with him in practice just because he grabs the ball and tries to run before he has the ball. So I think that the Steelers are going to edge it out just because they have a couple the Bengals and then the Colts, and I think that they'll be able to win the Colts game. It'll be really close, but I think that the Steelers are going to pull it out.
But looking at the Colts game, again, the offensive edge goes to Indianapolis. They have a way better run game. They have 2 receivers that are reliable. They have a great defense. And Pittsburgh, they get it. They have a great defense. But whenever they come up against a good offense, like you saw with Buffalo, they completely struggled. They broke down when they went up 7-0 and gave up the next 23 points. I just think that their offense isn't good enough. And again, their defense is just kind of lacking in that edge recently. And I get it. They play the Bengals. Maybe this one will get their confidence back. I just don't see them winning the division against the Colts and the Browns. I just think Cleveland will pull it out in the end.
I disagree.
All right, now it's time for our X Factor segments where the boys will pick their X Factors from each game. First game is Chargers versus Raiders. Will, who are your X Factors?
My X Factor for the Chargers game has got to be Anthony Lynn. Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in this rookie class by a long shot. And he's made him look he's lost him every single game. If Anthony Lynn can coach a good game plan against John Gruden, the Chargers are going to run away with this. But if he coaches like he's been coaching in crunch time, if it becomes a close game, the Chargers are going to fall. Just because it's all on him. His team is super stacked on offense, super stacked on defense, and if he can't get them a victory, it'll be really bad for him. So if it all comes down to Anthony Lynn. I think if he loses this game, he loses his job.
My X factor for this game has to be the Chargers secondary. The Raiders are going to be missing Henry Ruggs, and so you have to shut down Nelson Aguilar and Darren Waller. And if they can do that, I think they have a good shot at winning this game. So if the Chargers secondary just plays press coverage against Nelson Aguilar, double Darren Waller, I don't even know who their second wide receiver is now.
Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow, yeah, in the slot, that's always a good one. They have to shut down those guys, make Derek Carr, try and force the pass. And again, against the Jets, they only won that game because the Jets called a full blitz. Against the Colts, Derek Carr struggled massively. So I just think if the Chargers secondary can shut down their receivers, they're going to win the game. But I have the Raiders pulling out a close one.
I also have the Raiders pulling out a close one.
All right, next game, Broncos versus Bills. Anthony, who are you picking?
I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it has to be Drew Lock. I mean, the consistency has to be there. He had a great game against Carolina, his best performance of his career. 4 touchdowns, 77 completion percentage, no interceptions, 149 passer rating. He has to build off that. He has to get Noah Fant more involved. And I get Noah Fant was out with an illness this past week. But I just think if Drew Lock is consistent again against the Bills, they have a shot at winning this game. Get KJ Hamler on the 2 deep passes he threw, KJ Hamler for touchdowns. So it has to be Drew Lock, but I have the Bills winning out a very close defensive game.
I think it's got to be Devin Singletary for the Bills. I mean, he's been kind of inconsistent. The Bills' run game has been inconsistent, but I think if you can develop the run game against a very lackluster defensive line in Denver, with only Bradley Chubb being the only good player on that line right now, because Von Miller is out, I think that, and the defense overall for Denver being really bad, I think that the Devin Singletary will be able to run all over them and then help them develop their run game for the playoffs. I also have the Bills winning.
All right, next game, Panthers versus Packers. Will, who are you picking for this game?
My X factor's got to be Robbie Anderson. He's been able to get the rack. He's been able to get the receptions. He's been able to get a little bit of the run after catch, but he hasn't been able to put up the touchdowns. And I think that if he can get maybe 2 touchdowns in this game, I think that he'll be the contributing factor. I have the Panthers winning if he can do that, but I don't. And Teddy Bridgewater being able to get the ball to him, he's his favorite target. Robbie Anderson, I'm pretty sure he leads that team in receptions, not yards, but receptions. And I think he just needs to get a touchdown. So I have Robbie Anderson as my X factor in this game.
My X factor has to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think because obviously Devontae Adams is their number 1 read. They're going to put Dante Jackson on him. That should be a good matchup. So if Valdez-Scantling can get open, get down the field against pretty weak secondary for the Panthers, then I think that they're going to win this game. Rodgers loves throwing to Scantling whenever Devontae Adams is covered. So I just think Marquez Valdez-Scantling has to be that guy to step up if they're going to double Devontae Adams. But I have the Packers winning this one.
I have the Panthers winning this one in an upset.
McCaffrey's out. We'll see. Complete. And you see in Pittsburgh, they struggle offensively, the drops that they have. They don't have a run game. And again, the strength of schedule also comes into it, the next 2 games for each team. Pittsburgh plays Cincinnati this week, but then they have the Colts and the Browns to finish off the season, while the Browns have the Giants this week and the Jets next week and then the Steelers. So I think strength of schedule and those 2 teams that they have left will determine this, and I think the Browns will pull it out in the end.
I think that Ben Roethlisberger will will himself to a division title just because he's, Ben Roethlisberger, and I think that when he plays the Colts defense, the Colts offense won't be able to get past the defense, and I think that if James Conner can, not get injured every time he touches the ball, that the Steelers will develop a run game during that Colts game and pull out the win and then therefore win the division.
But you look at the 2 run games between the 2 teams. I mean, Pittsburgh has next to none, and Cleveland has the best run 1-2 punch in the NFL. And then their receivers, again, like I said, going off, they still have a good tight end, David Njoku and Austin Hooper. They're just a more complete team, I think, than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the better defense, I see that, but the offense is just way more advantage to Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think that the defense is going to win them the game. The run defense on Pittsburgh is insane. Cameron Hayward up front with T.J. Watt. And then in the secondary, you have Avery Williamson, who you traded for midseason. In the linebacking corner, and then in the secondary, you have Minka Fitzpatrick and Terrell Edmonds. And I think that that's going to help them get the title, along with Ben Roethlisberger, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. He has had some dropping issues, but they've been working on it with him in practice just because he grabs the ball and tries to run before he has the ball. So I think that the Steelers are going to edge it out just because they have a couple the Bengals and then the Colts, and I think that they'll be able to win the Colts game. It'll be really close, but I think that the Steelers are going to pull it out.
But looking at the Colts game, again, the offensive edge goes to Indianapolis. They have a way better run game. They have 2 receivers that are reliable. They have a great defense. And Pittsburgh, they have a great defense. But whenever they come up against a good offense, like you saw with Buffalo, they completely struggled. They broke down when they went up 7-0 and gave up the next 23 points. I just think that their offense isn't good enough. And again, their defense is just kind of lacking in that edge recently. And I get it. They play the Bengals. Maybe this one will get their confidence back. I just don't see them winning the division against the Colts and the Browns. I just think Cleveland will pull it out in the end.
I disagree.
All right, now it's time for our X Factor segments where the boys will pick their X Factors from each game. First game is Chargers versus Raiders. Will, who are your X Factors?
My X Factor for the Chargers game has got to be Anthony Lynn. Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in this rookie class by a long shot. And he's made him look he's lost him every single game. If Anthony Lynn can coach a good game plan against John Gruden, the Chargers are going to run away with this. But if he coaches like he's been coaching in crunch time, if it becomes a close game, the Chargers are going to fall. Just because it's all on him. His team is super stacked on offense, super stacked on defense, and if he can't get them a victory, it'll be really bad for him. So if it all comes down to Anthony Lynn. I think if he loses this game, he loses his job.
My X factor for this game has to be the Chargers secondary. The Raiders are going to be missing Henry Ruggs, and so you have to shut down Nelson Aguilar and Darren Waller. And if they can do that, I think they have a good shot at winning this game. So if the Chargers secondary just plays press coverage against Nelson Aguilar, double Darren Waller. I don't even know who their second wide receiver is now.
Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow, yeah, in the slot, that's always a good one. But they have to shut down those guys, make Derek Carr, try and force the pass. And again, against the Jets, they only won that game because the Jets called a full blitz. Against the Colts, Derek Carr struggled massively. So I just think if the Chargers secondary can shut down their receivers, they're going to win the game. But I have the Raiders pulling out a close one.
I also have the Raiders pulling out a close one.
All right, next game, Broncos versus Bills. Anthony, who are you picking?
I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it has to be Drew Lock. I mean, the consistency has to be there. He had a great game against Carolina, his best performance of his career. 4 touchdowns, 77 completion percentage, no interceptions, 149 passer rating. He has to build off that. He has to get Noah Fant more involved. And I get Noah Fant was out with an illness this past week. But I just think if Drew Lock is consistent again against the Bills, they have a shot at winning this game. Get KJ Hamler on the 2 deep passes he threw, KJ Hamler for touchdowns. So it has to be Drew Lock, but I have the Bills winning out a very close defensive game.
I think it's got to be Devin Singletary for the Bills. I mean, he's been kind of inconsistent. The Bills' run game has been inconsistent, but I think if you can develop the run game against a very lackluster defensive line in Denver, with only Bradley Chubb being the only good player on that line right now, because Von Miller's out, I think that, and the defense overall for Denver being really bad, I think that the Devin Singletary will be able to run all over them and then help them develop their run game for the playoffs. So, I also have the Bills winning.
All right, next game, Panthers versus Packers. Nope, I just learned my word.
Punch
Sorry.
in the face.
What?
Punch this kid in the face.
Okay. All right, next game, Panthers versus Packers. Will, who are you picking for this game?
My X factor's got to be Robbie Anderson. He's been able to get the rack. He's been able to get the receptions. He's been able to get a little bit of the run after catch, but he hasn't been able to put up the touchdowns. And I think that if he can get one, maybe 2 touchdowns in this game, I think that he'll be the contributing factor. I have the Panthers winning if he can do that, but I don't. And Teddy Bridgewater being able to get the ball to him, he's his favorite target. Robbie Anderson, I'm pretty sure he leads that team in receptions, not yards, but receptions. And I think he just needs to get a touchdown. So I have Robbie Anderson as my X factor in this game.
My X factor has to be Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think because obviously Devontae Adams is their number 1 read. They're going to put Dante Jackson on him. That should be a good matchup. So if Valdes-Scantling can get open, get down the field against pretty weak secondary for the Panthers, then I think that they're going to win this game. Rodgers loves throwing to Scantling whenever Devontae Adams is covered. So I just think Marquez Valdes-Scantling has to be that guy to step up if they're going to double Devontae Adams. But I have the Packers winning this one.
I have the Panthers winning this one in an upset.
McCaffrey's out. We'll see.
All right, speak, Campbell, speak. Okay. All right, next game, Browns versus Giants. Anthony, who are you picking?
My X factor for this one has to be Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's their number 2 or number 3 read. I can't remember, behind Jarvis Landry. But he's kind of been that rookie wide receiver that no one's really talked about because he was taken in the 6th round. I was shocked when Cleveland took him over some people, but I mean he's looked to be a great product. And again, down the field, he's one of the best receivers as a rookie. So if he can just get open, make those routes that he did against Tennessee, I think Baker Mayfield's gonna have a huge day. So it has to be Donovan Peoples-Jones for me.
I think that the X factor has got to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's been consistent recently, but we've seen Baker get really, really high. We've seen the Baker Mayfield cycle. He plays really good, and then he just drops off for like 3 or 4 games. I'm not saying that I want it to happen, but I'm saying that it needs to happen. He needs to just keep his consistency up so that the Baker Mayfield cycle can be broken. So that's why Baker Mayfield's my X factor for this game, and I have the Browns winning.
Yeah, I have the Browns winning. You look at that cycle, throw it out. This past season, he's been one of the best quarterbacks. He's been one of the more underrated quarterbacks this past season because of how good he's been. I think he goes off this game. I think the Browns win it.
Yeah.
All right, next game, Steelers versus Bengals. Will, who are your X factors?
My X factor is whoever the Bengals decide to put at quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, the quarterback position after losing Joe Burrow for the Bengals has kind of been a revolving door. And I think that they now need to just decide who it's going to be for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season. Because I know everyone knows they're missing the playoffs. They have like a 0.1% chance to get in.
They're eliminated.
They're completely eliminated. So I think that I think that they should just get someone in there. And if he can play well, they'll be able to beat the Steelers. But I still have the Steelers winning this one just because they won't be able to get anyone good in there.
My X factor has to be Deontay Johnson. I know I ripped on him earlier, but I think if he can just get those, keep his eye on the ball till he finally catches it, and then make the run. We know how fast he is. He had a good one against Washington where he caught the ball and then ran 50 yards for the touchdown. So I think if he can work on the catches, I think they'll win the game. But yeah, I have Pittsburgh blowing out Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now for NFL game picks. First game is Patriots versus Dolphins. Anthony, who is your winner for this game?
It has to be Miami for me. I just think Tua's been really great. He had a great game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is, again, probably the best team in the NFL. So I just think that, against a very lackluster offense, Miami's defense will win it. But I think Tua has a great game and pulls out the win.
I also have the Dolphins winning. The Patriots are really bad, and I want them to have a losing season. So
Everyone does.
prayers up for that.
All right, next game, Bears versus Vikings. Who do you think is going to win this game, Will?
I think it's got to be the Bears. The Vikings have been really good on offense, but I think that the Bears defense is finally just needs to say, okay, Vic Fangio, you were what made us good, but now we need to establish ourselves as being great with Khalil Mack, Kendall Fuller, Roquan Smith, and Danny Trevathan. I think that defense is just going to be able to hold them out on a final drive because I think that Mitch Trubisky is going to be able to play really well against the lackluster secondary minus Harrison. Not minus Harrison Smith, but I think that he'll be able to get the ball to Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel. So I think the Bears are going to win this one.
I mean, nothing against you. They cut Taylor Gabriel last year. But I have Minnesota winning it. I just think that, their offense will get back on track. If you throw away the Dan Bailey game, maybe get a new kicker this week. But I just think that Minnesota will bounce back. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, again, two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I just think that they're going to go off, and I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a really good game. I think their defense getting Eric Kendrick back is huge. So I have Minnesota winning this one in a close one.
All right, next game, Lions versus Titans. Will, who is your winner for this game?
It's going to be the Titans in a runaway game. Derrick Henry is going to run all over that lackluster D-line minus Damon Harrison. And I think that Matt Stafford might be able to keep the offense in it, but Derrick Henry is going to run all over him. It's going to be a blowout for the Titans.
I think Tennessee wins it, but I think it's closer than you think. Matt Stafford carries that offense, even without Kenny Golladay. TJ Hawkinson has to have a good game. So I have Tennessee winning it, but I think it's going to be closer than you think.
I have Tennessee blowing them out. So
Okay, next game, Jags versus Ravens. Anthony, who is your winner for this game?
Ravens blow them away. Don't even need an explanation for this.
yeah, Ravens. Any time of the week.
All right, next game, Texans versus Colts. Who is your winner for this game, Anthony?
I got the Colts. I mean, Deshaun Watson. We know how good he is, but he put up one touchdown against the Bears. And again, the Bears defense is really good, but I think he's coming up against another top 10 defense. I just think the Colts defense pulls it out.
Yeah, I have the Colts winning it too. The Texans' offense has been really good. Their defense has been really bad. Their coaching is pretty good. I like Romeo Crennel. I think he should have been a head coach a long time ago. But I think that just the loss of DeAndre Hopkins is really starting to shine through for this team. And I think that that's what's holding it back. So I think that the Colts are going to pull it out.
All right, next game, Bucks versus Falcons. Will, who's your winner for this game?
Got to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, Tom Brady and Mike Evans have finally developed the connection everyone thought we wanted them to. He already has the connection with Rob Gronkowski. Now the only one that we're waiting to have that develop with is O.J. Howard when he comes back next year and Chris Godwin. And I think that their offense is just way too potent, along with Ronald Jones. And I think that that's going to win them in a blowout against the Falcons, who are potentially without Julio Jones.
Yeah, I also have Tampa Bay. I think the receivers are going to have a good game. Scotty Miller, who's their 4-3 behind Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans is going to have a good game. He had a big game against Minnesota this past week. And but the only thing I can see them holding back is if Ronald Jones is indeed out, they're going to have to rely on Leonard Fournette, and I wouldn't trust that. So I think Tom Brady throwing the ball is going to win them the game.
I think that you're crazy to say that you wouldn't rely on Leonard Fournette. He was like the 4th overall pick.
But he struggled this season.
He struggled this season because he hasn't been the number one back. He's been the number 2 back the entire time. He hasn't been given the starting job because he was signed 2 weeks before the season started. Leonard Fournette is still a top 20 running back in the NFL.
You can say that, but I trust Ronald Jones more than Leonard Fournette this season.
I think you're wrong.
All right, Seahawks versus Washington. Anthony, who is your winner for this game?
Give me Washington. I think their defense is, very good. They're on a roll. They're won their last 4. They're trying to, maintain that lead in the NFC East, knowing that the New York Giants have a tough game against Cleveland. If they can win that and Cleveland wins, then they're going to have a 2-game lead over them. So I have Washington's defense not shutting out Russell Wilson, but shutting down Russell Wilson.
You just said the same
Not
thing.
shutting out. I think they'll score, but I just don't think he's going to put up that many good numbers.
I also had the football team winning this one. I mean, Chase Young is probably going to bust right through that offensive line that's so atrocious and probably have a multi 3, maybe 4-sack game against them. So I have the football team's defense winning it. And their offense is pretty good against a really, really, really awful Seahawks secondary.
All right, 49ers versus Cowboys. Will, who are you picking for this game?
I don't want to pick this game because it's going to be so bad. So bad. But I have the 49ers winning it. I mean, Nick Mullins is pretty good and the Cowboys are pretty bad. So mostly I just don't like the Cowboys, so I had to pick the 49ers to win this game.
I think the Cowboys are going to win. I think Andy Dalton's going to kind of, build off that game against the Bengals and have a good game. I just don't trust Nick Mullins running that offense anymore. They need Jimmy Garoppolo back. They're probably going to draft a quarterback. I just think that, Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game in a very boring game.
I'm not going to watch it.
Okay, Eagles versus Cardinals. Anthony, who are you picking for this game?
Give me the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts, he had an impressive week against the Saints, which is obviously the number 2 rush defense. I just think that him throwing the ball, win them the game more than him running the ball. Miles Sanders is going to have another big day. Just give me the Eagles, in a close game.
Give me the Eagles. I mean, I love Kyler Murray. I love the Cardinals, but they've been kind of slacking recently. I like my Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I mean, we saw how good he is. He threw for 167 yards and ran for 105 in his rookie debut in the middle of the season after not knowing he was going to start until like halfway through the week. So I think that confidence is just going to carry through against the secondary that has 2 really good studs, but you can just throw to the side of the field where they're not. So I think it's going to be the Eagles in a really close game. It might come down to the leg of Zane Gonzalez or Jake Elliott.
I wouldn't trust either of those kickers, though.
I would trust Jake Elliott. His first ever make in the NFL was a 61-yard game-winning field goal.
He missed a 29-yarder against the Saints to end the half, though. That's why I don't trust either of these kickers.
I think that Jake Elliott is a distance kicker, and he's not the best at the short kicks because his leg is just too big.
All right, Jets versus Rams. Will, who do you think is winning this game?
I think the Rams are going to destroy the Jets, just because the Jets are so atrocious. Cover 0 blitz on 3rd down with 13 seconds left, up by 3.
Yeah, give me the Rams. Their offense is too good. They're one of the more underrated teams in the NFL. Sean McVay is a very, very good head coach that's not talked about enough. I just think that their defense will shut down Sam Darnold and whatever offense they have.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald's going to have a 3-sack game.
At least.
All right, Chiefs versus Saints. Anthony, who do you think is going to win this game?
Game of the week, eh?
Game of the week.
Give me the Chiefs. I don't think Drew Brees is going to be playing this week. I just don't trust Taysom Hill against that Chiefs defense. I think Patrick Mahomes, after struggling against Miami, is going to go off again.
Give me the Chiefs. I mean, that offense is just way too potent, and it's going to be inside. Patrick Mahomes' arm is going to be on complete display with no outside factors contributing, no wind, no extra light. It's all inside, so I think Patrick Mahomes is about to have a field day with the Saints. I have a pretty good defense, but Patrick Mahomes can have a field day with whoever he wants, with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the backfield. So
Yeah, I just don't trust Taysom Hill as a quarterback against that defense.
yeah, so I have the Chiefs winning.
The Saints could go self-destruct mode, just put Winston in, see what happens. But
That's not self-destruct mode. That's the smart move.
I just don't trust either of those quarterbacks against the Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs. Close one.
Now for the Christmas Day game, it's Saints versus Vikings. Anthony, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think the Saints will. I think that they're gonna, if they lose to the Chiefs this week, they're gonna want to bounce back, and they're tired of losing to Minnesota in the playoffs. I think they're gonna get their revenge. I think Drew Brees has a potential to be back for this game. Just so, give me the Saints in a very, very, very close game.
Give me the Vikings. I mean, Kirk Cousins needs to show, hey, it's not just me. It's not just the refs that are winning the games for the Vikings against the Saints. And I think that Kirk Cousins combines with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen for about 200 or 300 yards, 100. And maybe Justin Jefferson has a 200-yard game with Adam Thielen having a 150-yard game.
We'll see.
So I had the Vikings.
All right, and now for the NBA game picks. For opening day, we have the Golden State Warriors versus Brooklyn Nets. Will, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think it's KD's first game back, revenge game. I think it's going to be the Nets. And the Warriors don't have anyone who can guard KD.
Yeah, I think Brooklyn's going to win too. I mean, I'd like to see Golden State put up a fight, and I think they will. I just think KD in a revenge game back, first game back with Kyrie Irving is going to go off. So give me the Nets in a very close game, though.
And the next game, Los Angeles Clippers versus Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony, who do you think is going to win this game?
Opening day rivalry game, huh? Give me the Lakers. I just don't think the Clippers are anywhere near them. I just think LeBron and AD are going to go off.
Also, give me the Clippers because in preseason, the Lakers have just been destroying the Clippers. So I think that they're going to carry that over into the regular season.
And then for the Christmas game, we have the Dallas Mavs versus Los Angeles Lakers. Will, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think it's going to be the Mavericks. I mean, I'd love to say that the Lakers, but the Mavericks, Luka Doncic is going to be the MVP this year. Kristaps Porzingis is healthy. Boban Marjanovic off the bench can be that paint presence that you really need him to be just by standing there. And they get Josh Richardson in the offseason. So I think it's going to be the Mavs. And it's going to be a really close game. It's going to come down to a Luka or LeBron shot.
Yeah, I think the Mavs end up pulling it out. I think, like you said, Luka's going to go off. KP's going to go off. But even Tim Hardaway's going to have a very good game off the edge. And again, they lose Seth Curry in the offseason. But I just think that, overall they're one of the top teams in the NBA. So give me the Mavs in, like you said, a very close game.
All right, in another Christmas game, we have the Clippers versus the Nuggets. And Anthony, who do you think is going to win this game?
I think it'll be the Nuggets. The Clippers obviously looking for revenge after they got knocked out in the playoffs. But I just think, like you said, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, they're going to go off against the Clippers, who having to rely on still Paul George shooting the ball. I just don't trust him. So give me the Nuggets.
I think it's going to be the Clippers because I think Kawhi Leonard is really, really not happy with the fact that he lost a 3-1 lead, and I think he's going to go off and have a career high, not career high, but almost career high in points. And I think that Pat Bev and Lou Will off the bench will be a really nice assistance with that.
Lou Will is one of the best all-time bench scorers of all time. So.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be the Clippers.
Just give me the Nuggets.
Next game is Nets versus Celtics. Will, who do you think is going to win this game?
This is going to be an amazing game as far as scoring goes because, I mean for the net, I had the Nets winning it just because the Nets have one problem on the Celtics have one problem on their team. They need a defensive five. Daniel Tice, he's small. Robert Williams, also small. They need a big defensive five. And the Nets have their defensive fives. They have Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan, who are both really good defenders in the paint. And I think the Nets will just be able to score all over the Celtics with it, so I think I have the Nets winning it.
I have the Nets too. Like you said, KD, I think is going to have a very good start to the season. Jason Tatum's going to put up a fight down in Boston, but I think them missing Campbell Walker is going to be huge for them. So I just think the Nets are going to pull it out in the end.
Yep.
And last game, Warriors versus Bucks. Anthony, who do you think is going to win?
Give me the Warriors. I think Steph Curry's going to go off against a very good Milwaukee team. We know how good they are. Giannis is going to, again, I think he'll go off too, but I just think I trust Steph Curry to win the game more. So give me the Warriors.
Give me the Bucks. The Warriors have no talent right now. They have Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and James Wiseman. That's it. They have no bench unit right now. And Draymond Green's even not that good anymore. So I have the Bucks destroying the Warriors in this game.
But I think because of how good a head coach he is, I think Steve Kerr is going to develop his team to be one of the best in the NBA again.
That's the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Campbell Choate, and that was Beyond the Sidelines.
See y'all after break.